Welcome to IDD Talks. I'm Anastasia Lavrina. Today we will speak about the relations between the United States of America and Turkey, the growing role of Turkey in the region of South Caucasus and not only. My guest today is Alper Coşkun, who is a former ambassador of Turkey to Azerbaijan. Mr. Coşkun, hello, welcome to our program.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for finding the time to join us today. And I would like you to tell us more about the position of Turkey in regards of NATO enlargement. We know that a couple of days ago, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg expressed confidence that the process of accession Sweden and Finland to the North Atlantic bloc will be completed with the approval of Turkey. Do you agree with this statement? Do you think that these two countries may become NATO alliance members in the near future?
I think that in principle we can, because Turkey has made it quite clear from the outset, first of all, that it supports the open door policy of the alliance. In other words, if there are countries that express interest in joining NATO, and if they fulfill the criteria, then Turkey is open to that in principle. This is something that has been a landmark of Turkish foreign policy and its approach to NATO. So in that sense, in terms of the general framework, there's no doubt about that. Second, when it comes to countries in question here, Finland and Sweden, these are two countries with whom Turkey has good political relations, no significant political challenges, except for obviously what has come up in the context of their aspiration to join NATO, which is the fact that Turkey has expressed some concerns, particularly in relation to Sweden, vis-a-vis the existence of some actors and some engagement on the part of the Swedish government with actors that Turkey finds concerning. So once that is resolved, and I think this has been made clear both by the president in Turkey and by the foreign minister, there should be no problem. In that sense, I agree with what the NATO Secretary General has said, in the sense that at the end of the day, this will take place. But we do hear from the Turkish side that they are not yet satisfied in terms of what they expect from Sweden and Finland, but particularly Sweden again. And then we recently heard the Swedish Prime Minister making the statement that he believes Turkey is asking for things that in some ways may be difficult for Sweden to deliver on. So it's quite clear that we are not there yet, that particularly vis-a-vis Sweden, Turkey's expectations continue. And then, of course, this comes in the context of an electoral process in Turkey, where this issue has also become politicized on the domestic political scene. Therefore, that always complicates matters a little bit. And my concern there is that the election process in Turkey may overtake the significance of this and be a priority in Turkey's consideration.
Definitely, this is a long process and we should expect some changes from two sides. But in any case, can we expect that Turkey or Sweden make any kind of concessions to make this process possible?
I think it's important, Anastasia, to take a step back. These are two countries, as I said, that have very good political relations. Sweden has historically supported Turkey's European Union aspiration. That should also be remembered, particularly on the part of Turkey. And these are two countries that soon will become allies within the NATO framework. They have already been working very closely since Sweden has been a partnership or peace nation with NATO. So the tradition and legacy of cooperation and close relations between Turkey and Sweden already exists. That's why it's important, I think, for both sides when dealing with this contentious issue now to remember first and foremost that legacy and that framework of good relations. And then on the part of Turkey to make sure that its expectations are kept at a realistic level, that they are not muddled by political considerations in Turkey. And on the other side, it's important for Sweden, I think, to understand that there are some areas where it should take additional steps to meet Turkey's expectations. I don't know where they will be able to find the median line, but I think what's important is that the spirit of the relationship is something that both sides should carefully consider so that no long-term negative implications come out of this engagement between Turkey and Sweden.
Let's speak a bit more about NATO. When we speak about NATO, it's more, in my understanding, about the United States of America, and the bilateral relations between Turkey and United States have been changed within the last months. Two sides are expressing the wish to make the relations even better. And there are some different cases which allow us to think about these improvements in the bilateral relations. So do you think that the United States of America may decide to intervene in the process and try to influence Turkey's decision in this process of NATO enlargement?
First, the premise of your question, I want to open a little parenthesis. I understand what you mean when you say that when we look at NATO, we're always talking about the United States. At the same time, I object to that characterization. And every NATO member should object to that, because at the end of the day, whereas in terms of its military prowess and in terms of its global presence, of course, the United States is a superpower at the end of the day. But when you bring our conversation into the NATO context, this is an alliance that has been established among sovereign nations, and they're equal when they sit at the NATO Council. So that political dimension, and particularly for your students there, it's important to remember that that political equality there is also a reality that needs to be borne in mind. A very good example to this is the Sweden and Finland issue, where all of the allies are supporting the membership. Turkey is as well, but Turkey is holding out because of a consideration. So let's first of all park that notion in our minds very carefully. Second, yes, in terms of Sweden and Finland joining the alliance and the U.S. approach to Turkey, we have the Turkish foreign minister that will be visiting D.C. this week, in the coming week, that is, and there's no doubt that two of the most important issues that will be discussed will be Sweden and Finland's accession process, and also Turkey's desire to purchase F-16s from the United States. The body language that we're seeing from Washington vis-a-vis Turkey has been a measured body language, keeping Turkey a little bit at elbow distance, if you will, because it's been 2 years since the Biden administration has taken office. This will be the first time that either foreign minister is visiting the other one in capital. It will be the first time that the Turkish and American foreign ministers meet on a bilateral basis, not on the sidelines of other meetings. So that in itself explains two things. One, you could argue in a positive sense that this is good, they're meeting. Excuse me. But on the other hand, you can also argue, why has it taken so long? Why has it taken Turkey and the United States to so long to have the foreign ministers meet in capital in this nature? So there are two dimensions that you can look at. And I think what we're seeing from the United States is that they're in a bit of a wait and see mode to see what the outcome of the elections will be. Maybe not necessarily in terms of whether there will be political change in Turkey, but more so, I believe, they will be waiting to see the implications of that post-election period vis-a-vis Turkish foreign policy, and how Turkey will approach Finland and Sweden's aspirations to join NATO, how it will continue to calibrate the way it is balancing its stance vis-a-vis Ukraine and Russia, its position in NATO, and how it's trying to mend fences regionally with a lot of other allies and friends and partners. So I think until the elections take place in Turkey, we will not see a significant movement on the part of the US. But it's good, nevertheless, that the two foreign ministers will be meeting soon.
So just to sum up what you have already said, from your understanding and from your point of view, United States of America will not intervene in the process, and Turkey itself will make the final decision whether Sweden and Finland will join NATO, definitely with accepting all of those conditions put by Turkey in advance before. But do you think that the position and the role of Turkey in the region has been changed, taking into account the war in Ukraine and the processes in the South Caucasus? I mean, the relations between Armenia and Azerbaijan, the West, especially the United States of America and some Western European countries, are thinking about Turkey as a strong country who can also contribute to the peace building in the region of the South Caucasus, and also in the negotiation process, if any, between Russia and Ukraine.
Well, I think the important point to make here is that Turkey is a country that should not be remembered depending or whose importance should be once again recognized simply in relation to geopolitical development. Turkey should not be recognized as a country that one needs to engage with or one with whom one needs to cooperate with simply because war breaks out between Russia and Ukraine, or because something is going on in the Southern Caucasus vis-a-vis Azerbaijan and Armenia, as you mentioned. My point here is that Turkey is a regional power. It finds itself in a very complicated, complex geographic situation. And there are a lot of instabilities around Turkey that are impacting on Turkey, but where Turkey also is an important potential actor, from the Southern Caucasus to what's going on in Iraq and Syria, in the Middle East, and the Black Sea at large. So I think, particularly in the aftermath of the end of the Cold War, when Europe was enjoying the peace dividend, many turned a blind eye to this reality. And more recently, when the United States shifted its political focus or geopolitical focus more on China and on the Far East, there was an increasing number of analyses suggesting that the importance of Turkey geopolitically is diminishing. Reality tells us just the opposite. Unfortunately, very harsh realities, such as the war in Ukraine. It's important, for example, that to remember that Euro-Atlantic security at large and Central Asia as well, all of the political and security developments there are of relevance in one way or another for Turkey, and there are areas where Turkey is relevant in one way or another also. So I think it's important both for Washington and Brussels to recognize this reality and nurture a relationship with Turkey as a NATO ally, despite all of the political differences, as a country that can make a significant contribution to enhancing security and cooperation in these areas. And we see these in different ways. We see these in how Turkey is trying to contribute to the process between Armenia and Azerbaijan by opening its mindset to rapprochement with Armenia, as long as the process between Armenia and Azerbaijan continues positively. Turkey is focusing on enhancing integration, cooperative integration with Central Asian nations. We see this increasingly, again, in partnership with Azerbaijan. There are trade dimensions, there are energy dimensions here that will all be of relevance, obviously, for Europe as well. So all these, I think, when you factor them in, to me, suggest that it's very important as an aspirant country to join the European Union, as a NATO member country, that Turkey's relations with Europe at large and the transatlantic community need to be nurtured. Of course, there's responsibility for Turkey as well in this respect to ensure that it recognizes the value of this relationship and lives up to the requirements. The role of the OSCE has been a bit of a disappointment, I have to say, in the context of the Southern Caucasus, in the context of the Armenia-Azerbaijan disagreement and the occupation in the past of Azerbaijani territories. The Minsk group basically, we all got used to talking about a frozen conflict at the time, but it was such a misleading concept because when you have a continuing occupation of that nature, there's a continuing problem and it's not frozen and it cannot be forgotten. And we saw the reality of that. So in that sense, the way in which the OSCE and the Minsk group particularly, and the co-chairs at the time, were not as active as they should have been, in my view, has led to a lot of disappointment. And we've heard this politically expressed on the side of the Azerbaijanis as well. And I understand the reasons and the emotions behind that. It's good that the chairman of the OSCE is engaging. The OSCE, at the end of the day, is an important international body where Azerbaijan is also present, Armenia is present, Turkey as well. So it's good that that engagement is taking place. In terms of what it can deliver concretely, I have a little bit of doubt. But the real basis for any progress, with or without the OSCE, obviously will depend on Armenia and Azerbaijan agreeing on terms that are acceptable for both sides and that are in conformity with the requirements of international law. And that's where I think there is more work to be done on the part of Armenia, and Azerbaijan is trying to encourage that, and Turkey is trying to contribute to it as well.
Well, Mr. Coşkun, thank you so much for joining the program today. It was a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, and greetings to all of my friends in Azerbaijan.
Thank you. Just to remind, my guest today was Alper Coşkun, former ambassador of Turkey to Azerbaijan. He joined IDD Talks from the United States of America. I'm Anastasia Lavrina. Stay with us and see you in the next edition.